Greetings to all Central Asia Nobel Fest participants. My name is Uliana Furiv. I am from Ukraine, and I work as a higher education specialist at the Institute of Educational Planning of UNESCO, or IAP UNESCO, based in Paris, France. For almost 2 years, I have been working on a project called Flexible Learning Pathways in Higher Education. The project looks at the broader notion of flexibility in higher education and the question of how national policies influence institutional practices in making higher education systems more flexible to advance the United Nations Education 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals, which emphasize well-articulated, flexible higher education systems. In our research, we define flexible learning pathways as these entry and re-entry points at all ages and all educational levels, which link to validation and accreditation of the knowledge, skills, and competencies which are required in both formal, non-formal, and informal education settings. In my opinion, there are a number of challenges that education systems face currently, and the COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted them even more. It is true that some higher education systems could respond to the crisis by moving to immediate remote teaching and learning, but many institutions were forced to close down. Even to this day, many universities have not reopened and, on the contrary, announced that they will remain closed for the following academic year. This speaks about the general unpreparedness of higher education systems and lack of capacity to address these issues effectively. Increasing evidence suggests that institutions that have been offering alternative and flexible approaches in delivery of education and admissions were in fact better equipped to respond to the crisis. When countries and institutions were able to mobilize digital resources from existing institutional online or foreign course platforms, the learning in fact could continue. So the pandemic has really reminded us of the need for prepared, agile, and flexible higher education systems that can ensure the continuity of learning in any circumstance. The future learning, in my opinion, will need to move away from traditional approaches to teaching and learning only and embrace this flexibility. Flexibility that is understood as a process of learning that is free from constraints of time, place, and pace, where a learner can choose the entry and exit points, learning activities, assessment modes, and educational resources. And although it might sound radical at this point, I think that flexibility in education is the future. It should not be viewed as an emergency measure only. Flexibility should be an integral feature of any higher education system that strives for both high-quality learning and preparedness for crisis. I think that in the future, higher education systems that will invest heavily in the development of digital infrastructure, teacher training, student services, robust IT support will in fact be better prepared to respond to a crisis. But of course, we should not forget that while more learners might be able to benefit from such flexible learning opportunities through online course platforms, as an example, the inequalities that might be exacerbated by the lack of access to these tools by learners and also lack of infrastructural capacity of institutions will need to be carefully addressed by policymakers and institutional leaders. In my opinion, events such as the Central Asian Nobel Fest are really important for bringing together a motivated intellectual community of scientists, educators, policymakers, and young researchers from different fields to discuss new ideas, but also to find solutions to pressing issues. The Nobel Fest is a great place to stimulate dialogue and inspire young researchers of Central Asia and the Caucasus to share their research ideas and think of future research projects that can serve both the betterment of the region but also society as the whole. It is a place where traditional approaches can be questioned safely, and such events can create a dialogue to build more resilient and effective systems. My message to the Nobel Fest viewers is that each of us can make a contribution, and there is something of interest in this festival for everyone, be it in education, finance, IT, economy, or ecology. So be curious, engaged, and open for new ideas. You are an important part of this dialogue too. So I would like to thank you for giving me this honor to present at the Nobel Fest forum, and I see you in future discussions. Bye bye.